Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're talking about players we haven't talked about. So we do this every year where we bring up just a couple guys that, you know, one reason or another, we just haven't talked about them during this lead up to the season. I mean, it can be different reasons. Maybe they're just boring. Maybe that's part of it. Sometimes it's we don't necessarily know what to think about the player and the situation. So we're going to throw them out there today. Maybe we'll come up with an idea of what we think. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll still be like, hey, I still don't know. That's why I'm not talking about him. I don't even want to draft this guy. So we'll do it. We got two players each. Jeff, who's your first guy?
The first guy I'm going to talk about was a once bona fide superstar, and we just don't know what to do with him anymore. And people are all over the map on him. I'm talking about Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ is truly, I mean, the first 3 years he was a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. And then the injury bug hit him. He went to Cleveland. We all expected big things of him, and it just didn't quite pan out that way. And then obviously last year he got derailed again by an injury. But if he is back healthy, and obviously that is a run-first team, but it does not mean he's not going to be targeted, right? I mean, I believe, I have it up here, I believe he was targeted 133 times in 2019.
Right.
That's a pretty good clip. And he only caught 74 of those balls, but he did manage to get over 1,000 yards and only 4 touchdowns. There's a lot of room for improvement, but he's still a very dynamic playmaker when he's healthy. I think Baker Mayfield has made some improvements to his game, and as much as they run, I do think this will set up play action, and as someone as, dynamic as him, he should be able to find a way to score or get a lot of yards. So I don't know what to do with Odell because I can't really tell you if he's going to stay healthy. I can't really tell you how much time they're going to throw it to him, but you would think that he would still be a decent pickup at, what is he right now? He's 27th wide receiver overall, and that just shows you because no one knows what to do with the guy, including myself. So I know you like him more than I do.
Yeah.
But what are your feelings about him?
I like that I can get him as my wide receiver 3. I don't necessarily feel comfortable. Again, like you said, is he going to get hurt again? We don't know. I think I feel good. Injury aside, because that's just an unknown, right?
You're right.
I feel good about the team and the situation. So some people might say it looks like the Browns started picking things up towards the end of last year after Odell was gone, right? I don't see it that way. I just feel like it was a first-year coach that they started figuring stuff out, right? Like they got more comfortable. Everything started coming together. Just happened Odell wasn't there because he was hurt, right?
Right.
They started playing well. I think Odell's going to fit into that and just be. I'm not saying you're not going to see first 3 years Odell. That's pretty tough to come back and do that again. But he has that talent. Why can't, it's not out of the realm of possibility to me. It truly isn't. I want to take that chance on Odell. I'm taking the chance on a lot of him this year as my wide receiver 3. And I don't think he's done. I just don't think he's completely done. He is 28, going to be 29 this year. It's not over. He has some time. I think we're going to get one more good Odell season at least out of this. And I'm on board. I want to pick him as my wide receiver 3. So
yeah, I'm rooting for the guy. In my head, you think about what he's capable of, and you're like, man, how can I pass up on him? But I look at that team, and I'm kind of like, that would be great to believe that he could catch 8-9 touchdowns. But I don't know. Is that even in the cards? I mean, with Chubb, with Hunt, the way they spread the ball around, you still have Landry, who is a very good wide receiver. You have some young guys up and coming. Baker hasn't completely proven himself that way. I worry that the everything would have to stack up just perfectly for him to be worth that pick. And right now I can't see it happening. But, man, you just watch any highlight reel of him and you're kind of like, oh, well, no, what? One more time. Right. One more time
exactly.
around.
All right. My first guy I'm going to talk about is going to be Miles Sanders. I feel like we haven't said much about Miles Sanders. He's fallen in the ranks this year where I believe I was seeing him, I think 19th or 20th last I looked, probably 19th. No, 20th. He's 20th currently. That's down there, right? I'm trying to figure this out. What's exactly the reason for this? Was he bad last year? No. He missed some games, right? Missed, I think, 4 games. When he played, he still had 867 yards off 164 carries. Turned that into 6 touchdowns, 5.3 yards per carry. He was better last year than his rookie season. He was. He just missed 4 games.
Yeah.
But those numbers were better, and they were on a better pace. There was more touchdowns. There was less catches. That's the difference, and I think that's maybe the worry is maybe he's not going to get the catches with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is part of this. We don't know what he is. I've always been a lot of people don't seem to like a running quarterback. Thinks it take away from the running back. I see it the other way. I think it can go the Robert Griffin, Alfred Morris route. I've always looked at that. So Miles Sanders at 20, I think we're getting a steal here. So I think this is somebody, I don't know, we haven't talked about him much.
No, we haven't.
I think it's a solid pick.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Miles Sanders. Last year I was kind of on his bandwagon, and unfortunately, just health got in the way.
Yep.
But you're right, the numbers were there, and if he played a full season, people would be singing a very different tune. I mean, he would have over 1,000 yards, and he'd probably have somewhere in the, even if you just say moderately, like 8 touchdowns, and you catch 1 touchdown, and all of a sudden he's in that conversation, and you're kind of like, okay, what are they capable of? And I agree with you usually on what a running quarterback can do for a running back, right? You see it with Lamar, and we talk about that kind of a lot. But when you're kind of ad-libbing, I do worry, and especially with someone like Jalen Hurts, who hasn't proved he can really throw the ball yet. I do worry that he will take away touchdowns from Miles Sanders. And that's kind of where my big worry is. But yeah, I don't have him as low as everyone else does. I don't have him at 20. I definitely have him above that. I think he definitely has to prove himself this year. I know he has the ability. So once again, he's kind of one of those guys I'm rooting for. I do think Jalen Hurts, in my mind, hurts his stock a little bit. But I still think he's worth wherever he's going currently.
I think at 20, I think you're in good shape. That's not much risk there to me at all.
No, so. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, and 5.3 yards a carry last year, that is phenomenal in the NFL.
Yep. All right. Who's your other guy?
So my other guy that I want to talk about, funny enough, I really think that we don't really know what to make of him, but the Eagles in general, right? I think the only guy I feel good about is Dallas Goedert, but the other guy I want to talk about is Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is obviously an incredible college wide receiver. He played for Alabama, if you've been living under a rock. He's won every award there possibly can be. The only knock against him is really that his weight isn't high enough yet. I mean, they're worried that he's going to get hurt. And really, that's kind of my worry too. If he stays healthy, I think that he will be a very good pro wide receiver. Not to mention, we've already talked about it ad nauseum, but hey, Dallas Goedert there. And then they drafted Rager last year, who was hurt, dinged up. Other than that, I mean, he's going to walk right in, and he's probably going to be the number 1 wide receiver from the get-go. That is wonderful. He does everything very, very well. I really like the guy. I think that he was the most talented wide receiver coming out of the draft. I know people would talk about Waddle or Chase, and there's very good points you can make for those two. His size is the worry, but the biggest one for me, once again, is quarterback. And Jalen Hurts, I like him for fantasy football production because the guy will run, he will throw a little bit, but in his few games that he played, really he started, we'll just use 3 because at the very end of the year, he was the guy that was all on his shoulders, and he played the entire games. But he was 17 for 30 for 167 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. That's them kind of getting him into the flow. And then he had 2 massive games. Touchdowns and interceptions were a little bit off on the 2, but the big one that everyone remembers is against Arizona. They ended up losing, but he was 24 for 44, 338 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And you're kind of like, wow, okay, this guy could be something. He rushed for a touchdown. And then you go against Dallas, who is awful. They were awful last year. And he went 21 for 39, 342 yards, which is great, but a touchdown and 2 picks. And he couldn't get and the rushing was decent, 9 for 69, right? So you have those 3 games. The other ones are a little bit out there, and he didn't pass nearly as much. So we have a very small sample size to go on, but he struggled. He didn't really throw it down the field. Once again, very weird year. It was a COVID year. Whence that whole drama was happening. I thought he did a very admirable job stepping up as a rookie and doing what he did, but I just don't know. So if you have a very inexperienced quarterback mixed with a very inexperienced wide receiver, you start worrying that those throws down the sideline, down the field will not be there, and then it will be hard for Devonta Smith to really put in good work. But that guy I really feel like there's something there. I feel like the talent is really there. And
it's a massive numbers in college.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And he does it every single way, right? I mean, he's overperformed every step of the way. And he does have the athletic ability to do it. Maybe he'll put on a few pounds before then. That was my biggest worry, honestly. You have Jalen Hurts, number one, of like, okay, if he's just terrible and you just can't throw the ball, it's not going to help anyone. But secondly, I just feel like no one on that team, like everyone gets hurt for some reason. So if that guy gets, a couple good cracks, I do worry that he's just going to break. But I don't know. He's one of those guys that I'm very interested in throwing on my team and just finding out what he's capable of. I don't know.
And they go get Deshaun Watson maybe, and then, wow.
Well, that's way different. If he had them, I would be incredibly high on him.
I'm all on board with, honestly, drafting these later rookies, especially like Smith and Waddle, who's in the 50s. Get those guys. Why? I don't see why not. Man, I'm going to keep coughing here. But no, keep getting those guys. I think you're in good shape. I like Smith a lot too. So, all right. My other guy I'm going to talk about here quick, Chris Carson. I think this is probably a theme of the podcast. I don't think we ever talk about Chris Carson at all, right?
No, we don't.
We keep waiting for him to go away in a way. You know what I mean? We thought it was going to be Rashad Penny, right, that took over for him. Rashad Penny maybe would have had a shot to start playing more. He got hurt. He's back this year, but I don't really believe in that. So the depth chart hasn't changed much. It's still Chris Carson, and then it's Rashad Penny, it's Travis Homer, it's DJ Dallas. Alex Collins is on the depth chart? My God, that's But the depth chart hasn't changed, right? It's the same guys. They haven't brought anybody to take over for Carson, who's just been solid, right? His yards per carry over his career, his first year he didn't play much, but he had 4.2, then 4.7, 4.4, 4.8. Touchdowns were 9-7. Last year he played only 12 games. He had 5. He had 4 receiving touchdowns, though. So 9 total. 9 total the year before. 9 total the year before. 9 touchdowns each of the last 3 seasons. Last season's 9 was only in 12 games. He's pretty solid, right?
He reminds me of like a Robert Woods. I never really want him on my team, but I know that if I get him, he's going to produce. You know what I mean? He's not an exciting guy.
And he's 16th right now in the ranks.
Yeah, and last year, even missing 4 games, he was still 16th overall as far as running back. That Seattle team, too, looks way different when they have a significant rushing possibility, right? Mm-hmm. The years when they had him and they were kind of like pounding it out, they were a better team. I mean, you saw him slow down at the end of it, that you only can throw so much without, giving teams the carte blanche to just start rushing your quarterback. But yeah, I think he's a very good running back. To be honest, though, when we talk about these players, I mean, like Devonta Smith, right? He's ranked number 40, so it's whatever. Like, you get him. Chris Carson, you do have to make a strategic time to pick him. When would you actually take him?
That's the problem with Carson. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Because he's right there with, I'm going to want Swift over him for that potential, right? Mm-hmm. So Swift is there, Jacobs is there, Sanders is there. They're all bunched together in Montgomery. I'm probably going to. They're all similar. I don't know. This is why I probably don't talk about him. So, I don't know what I want to do, and I think I just pass up on him. But is that a mistake? Are we just overlooking this?
Well, that was the thing, too, is like when you're looking at it, you're kind of like, okay, well, he probably goes at like 19. You know what I mean? Like we talked, you just talked about Montgomery in one podcast, right. Miles Sanders in another. We love Dobbins, Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Najee Harris. Are you going to take those guys? That would be the other ones. After that, it's a fall off, but
I might pick Carson over Edwards-Helaire, honestly. Edwards-Helaire, I'm just not. It depends on how risky I want to be, and I don't think I want to be that risky with Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to give him that's a good question. Are they going to give him the carries necessary in order to make that next step? They're going to throw it a lot, and like I said, they pretty much run just to change it up, and they run with a lot of different guys. He's definitely going to get the bulk of it. Maybe he gets to 200. I don't really see him going over that, though.
Carson, that's why we don't talk about him. I don't know what to do, and I still don't after talking about it.
And it does feel like he will miss a couple of games every year. I mean, that's just the way it's been going.
But it does get to the point where, then all of a sudden I want him around 20-ish. I do want Chris Carson. I want him then before the Darrell Henderson and the Gaskin and the Hunt and Mike Davis and those kind of guys. I do want him before those guys. I do. And even I'd want him before ETN, to be honest. I like ETN, but there's so much more risk with ETN.
100%. I totally get that. I mean, I think what Chris Carson is like the human embodiment of like the ripcord of like, oh, wow, a lot of running backs are going.
Well,
and I don't mean that to be like a slight on him. I just really don't have a 100% good feel. And every year he's come out and he shows up and he plays and he's a great guy to have. But when you're in the top 20, you're kind of starting to split hairs. And I'm kind of there with you. He's a good player, but I just don't end up having him on any of my teams.
It just, it pretty much ends up being how it plays out every time. You just don't end up with him on a team. He's like the perfect example of, if he's my third, I feel great.
Oh my! Oh, well,
that's a lot of that.
He's more likely he's gonna be number 2 though, and
he's going to be. He's going in that 2 range.
Yeah. And that's fine. I don't have any issue with it.
There's some drafts though you could get him at 3. If you go like in a snake, if you go running back, maybe you get Carson yet. Maybe he's still there. Depends on how it plays out.
Yeah.
Auction, you could maybe pull it off because in auction drafts, I don't think Chris Carson's price gets too crazy.
Okay, that's a good point.
Auction, it just doesn't. It's Chris Carson. It's boring. It doesn't go like in auction even. If he's around Swift and Jacobs and Sand, I think all those guys go for more than him. I think ETN goes for more than him in an auction, to be honest. I think
you might be 100% correct on this. I think that's a good distinction of the different types of leagues you're in. I do think that he would be one to target then.
Because I think you can get a very good value on Chris Carson. This could even be an earlier in the draft type thing.
Throw him out before
where there's other guys are still around.
I hate/love when people do that. When you're waiting to see like whatever Nick Chubb thrown out at like opportunity 3 or whatever, and then someone throws out Chris Carson, and you're kind of like, I don't want to spend my money.
I just got Chris Carson for $19 in an auction. Like you're like, oh wait, that's
because
awesome.
Everyone else wants to hold their money, so maybe I get a Jonathan Taylor. Maybe I get
and that I think is the route to go if you're going to get Carson. Get him as your third, and it's a better option. You can probably do it in an auction.
Or you take money off the board. Either way, that's money. That's cool. Yeah.
So, all right, there we go. There's some players we haven't talked about yet. Maybe we got a little idea of what to do now with them. Somewhat.
Yeah, starting to think about it.
But all right, that'll do it for today. Talk to you guys next time.